Hi everyone, welcome back to another Smart Chats video. Today I'm talking all about stress. I had quite a few comments requesting me to talk about this topic because I think it's something that everyone needs to know how to deal with, because we all do get stressed at some point throughout our lives, or even at some point throughout every single day. So it's definitely an important one, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of the little things that I do throughout the day to help reduce that stress. I think the number one thing is to accept that you are going to feel stressed at some point, because it's just part of life. We all feel stressed, and I think as soon as you do accept that, when it does come, that stressful period, you can kind of just be like, okay, yeah, this is a stressful period. I know now what to do. I know how to deal with this, because you know almost to expect it. Whereas if you just have this crazy period of just feeling really overwhelmed and stressed, and it came out of the blue, you can just feel so much worse. So I think just accept that stress will come throughout our lives, whether it is on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or just once a year or whatever. It's going to happen, and we are going to feel stressed, unfortunately, but like I said, that's just life. I used to think that I didn't deal with stress very well because I'd just feel so overwhelmed. I'd feel emotional, then angry, but then I realised, well, that's exactly what stress is. All of those feelings are just responses to stress, and everyone goes through that. Obviously, some people have ways of dealing with it better than others, and that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. A few things that you can bring into your life to just make it feel a little bit easier. So apparently we are living in the most stressed world right now. We are the most stressed generation, and that can be due to many different factors. We are working more, working longer hours, we're earning less. Money's always an issue, isn't it? But also technology. We have grown up in a world of technology, and we can feel overwhelmed by it all. We're constantly flicking from one screen to the next, and it's this feeling of never being able to fully keep up, and just staring at a screen all day long can raise your cortisol levels. We're going to be talking a lot about cortisol, by the way. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So the more stressed you are, the higher cortisol levels. All of the things that I'm going to be talking about is basically about how we can reduce cortisol and increase your endorphins, which is the happy hormone. There are obviously so many other factors that can contribute to stress. It can be a feeling of out of control, you're not in control of your life in terms of your work, you want to achieve things, you're not quite getting there, not feeling good enough, you're just constantly worrying about things, worrying about other people. And I think we just all put way too much pressure on ourselves. Apparently 85% of UK adults feel stressed regularly, which is a huge amount. I mean, it goes to show that we're not alone if you're feeling stressed, like you're not the only one, but at the same time, 85% is huge. Like, we need to somehow reduce that. And apparently it's also women that are more likely to feel stressed, and especially students and young people. And this can obviously all lead to major health problems, physical health problems such as digestive and gut issues, because there's a very direct link between your gut health and your mental health. It can also lead to things like heart disease, stomach ulcers, but also long-term mental health issues such as depression. So that just goes to show, like, it's not just the stress itself that we want to reduce because of the feeling it provides, but because of the actual long-term effects it can bring. So one of the first kind of categories, I suppose, that I'm going to be talking about is exercise. This is something that personally for me can really help reduce my stress levels. If I've had a really stressful day or a stressful week, I try and do some yoga. Yoga for me is just one of those things that can instantly just melt away that stress. It's like half an hour to 60 minutes to yourself, and you just go into this meditative, is that the right word? You know what I'm trying to say, meditative, yeah, state. And I just feel so much better afterwards. And again, meditation, that's a great thing you can do, or breathing exercises. All of those things can just make you relax. It is like a weight being lifted off of your shoulders, and just deep breathing, even if it's for 5 minutes, to sit down and just breathe and really focus on that, nothing else. You feel like a different person afterwards. So meditation is definitely a massive one. I know this is something that you'll hear all the time. As soon as you talk about stress, people will be like, oh, meditate. But it's unbelievable how it works. It can totally change your life. I don't do it enough. I'll be the first to admit that. I know the benefits of it, so I really should. And I went to a meditation course in London. I was given a mantra and I kept it up for a while. I've just kind of slipped out of it. I still repeat my mantra to myself when I'm doing yoga, or if I do have 5 minutes to myself, even on the tube or on a bus or walking, I'll kind of meditate in a way. But I need to get back into actually spending 20 minutes every single morning and every evening just sat down purely meditating, because that can have a amazing impact on your mental health and your stress levels. Another thing is just walking. If I have a crazy day, I will just put 20 minutes aside if I have time throughout the day to just get outside and just walk. I've got nowhere to go, I'm just walking, and I don't look at my phone. That's one thing, like literally phone stays either at home or in my bag. So walking's a massive one. Back again to like actual exercise. I do love running. Running for me is one of those exercises that is almost like meditation. It's a time where I just think about nothing and everything at the same time. It's a really strange one, but I love it. I enjoy that feeling of running. However, I am gonna say, exercise is great. I think to move your body, it can release those endorphins and it can have an amazing feeling afterwards. But if you have had the craziest day, you're feeling so stressed and overwhelmed, sometimes it's not beneficial to go and do a crazy intense workout afterwards. I was talking to a PT about this a couple of weeks ago, and I found it really interesting because it absolutely makes sense. He said that he gets a lot of clients that work in the city that have really intense, full-on jobs, working, you know, they're lawyers, they're accountants, and they're working in crazy, crazy hours. And they'll come and see him and they'll say, right, I need a really like intense workout. Let's just like hit it hard today. And he's like, have you had a stressful day or a stressful week? And I'll say, yeah, I need to like release it. And he'll say, no, we're doing the opposite. We're going to take it easy and we're going to have a chilled workout today. But his reasoning is that a crazy intense workout increases your cortisol levels. So if you have been having a really busy day and your cortisol levels are through the roof, adding that intense workout is just not going to make things any better. You need to get those cortisol levels back down. So sometimes it's just all about listening to your body. Like if you feel so stressed, I think yoga or walking or swimming would be great, compared to just hitting the gym hard, because you might feel better when you're in the gym, but you're gonna leave feeling 10 times worse. So moving on to relaxation and self-love methods, because there are a few things that I do to make sure that I don't have a stressful day, so to prevent stress, or things to actually try and reduce that stress after a busy day. Obviously we've spoken about deep breathing, meditation, that's definitely one, but also things like a self-massage. I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can get these lovely oils and just massage your arms, your hands, your feet, your legs. This is great to do before bed. It's an amazing relaxation method, and it's actually an Ayurvedic method. And my oil that I've been using, I literally used it all up this morning, the last little drop. But this one is Flora Remedia, and it is the detoxing body oil. I love the fragrance of this, and it's great. So I use that normally after I dry brush. I don't dry brush to de-stress, but it's one of those little small pleasures throughout the day, a little ritual, I suppose, that I think can prevent the stress to come that day. So when I remember in the morning, I'll just dry brush, normally just on my legs or my full body if I have time, and then afterwards I'll use the oil and just kind of rub it in, but also the oil in the evening as a massage before bed to basically relax. So those little things I really enjoy doing. Music is a massive one, obviously. I listen to a playlist on Spotify called Peaceful Piano, and as soon as I feel like that blood kind of boil and you're like, oh my god, I'm like so stressed, like there's so much happening at once, put that Peaceful Piano playlist on. Like no matter where I am, just put your headphones on, and it's just like, oh, okay. Piano for me, I don't know what it does, but it just like calms me down, and that's exactly what you want. So I love that playlist. And also find a hobby. I think if you find something that you really enjoy doing that is a massive distraction, I think that's great. So it might be that you're playing the piano, learn to play an instrument and just take a few minutes every day or whenever you can to just practice, and I think if you enjoy it, that can really help. At the moment, my hobby, I would say, has been learning to do handstands. No, headstands. I'm not quite at handstands yet. Headstands. So in my yoga practice, when I first started, my goal was to do a headstand, and I've been working with this yoga instructor called Sophie Deer, and she's been brilliant. Like literally within 1 or 2 sessions with her, I could do a headstand, but now it's all about perfecting it and making sure that I've got the right form. But that's something that is almost like a hobby at the moment. It's something I'm really focused on, and yeah, it really helps to reduce stress. But equally, you know, any hobby that you have, it could be painting, drawing, whatever. I think it's really great to have those things that you really enjoy doing. And lastly, in this whole relaxation, self-love category, I suppose, is getting enough sleep. I think it's one of the best things you can do for yourself is to go to bed early and just get at least 8 hours of sleep every single night, because sometimes stress can actually be caused by sleep deprivation, but definitely sleep deprivation can contribute to the stress anyway. So yeah, getting enough sleep is always a good idea. Next, I've got to talk about food and drink, just nutrition in general, because I think this can have a huge impact on your stress. So it's really important to keep hydrated every single day, obviously by drinking enough water. This is good for basically everything, your skin, but obviously your mental health. I think that being dehydrated can definitely contribute to your stress levels. So I'm always conscious of drinking enough water, but also herbal teas. I love a herbal tea, and if I have had a stressful day, the first thing I do is when I get home, put the kettle on, and it's that little ritual again, like I said earlier, like having those little small pleasures throughout the day, and drinking a herbal tea is one of them. And it's so like silly and like it's nothing, but it just relaxes me, like just sitting on this sofa curled up with a blanket and a cup of tea. It's amazing how it can just make you feel better. My favourite one at the moment, or has been for a long time, is the Pucker Feel New tea. It's got aniseed, fennel and cardamom, and it's my favourite nighttime tea, but I actually do have it in the morning sometimes as well. And Joe and I make a teapot of it, so we put a couple of tea bags in there and just enjoy a pot of tea together pretty much every evening. So that's a really nice little ritual to have. But back to nutrition, I think it's really important to eat an abundance of fresh, wholesome fruit and vegetables, nutrient-dense vegetables and fruit that's just going to absolutely nourish your body. It can just make you feel amazing. It honestly, it's like you're glowing from the inside out, and I think that can obviously be really, really great for your mental health as well as your physical health. But it is definitely important to make sure you're getting enough of the healthy fats, so things like olive oils, avocados, protein. So for me, because I'm on a vegan diet, things like chickpeas, lentils, beans, tofu, tempeh, and then carbs, so sweet potatoes, lots of vegetables, pasta, brown rice, things like that. So just making sure that you have that balance across all of those macronutrients, but also the micronutrients, so all of the minerals, vitamins, they're equally as important. I think obviously when you're feeling stressed, that's when you're most likely going to want to turn to the junk food and convenient food. But if I call Joe, my boyfriend, for example, throughout the day, and I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling stressed, today's not a good day, one of the first things he'll say is, let's just have a chilled night tonight, let's just cook, let's get in, have a really quiet one, stay in together and just cook some good food. And that honestly is the best thing, and I love it. We just get in, and if he's had a stressful day, it's the same as well. And it just means that you're not reaching for that junk food when your body might be craving it the most, and just you're nourishing yourself with all of that amazing home-cooked fresh food. So I love that. Having said that though, I definitely will dive into the chocolate sometimes if I'm feeling stressed. Normally if I'm on my own and I'm kind of like curled up on the sofa and I'm like, oh, I need some chocolate or something. I love dark chocolate, so like 80% dark chocolate when I'm stressed. Oh, love it, because it's quite like bitter, but it's rich and it's just so indulgent at the same time. I love it. So I'm not saying like absolutely like you've got to eat 100% healthy when you're feeling stressed, because I know it's just not realistic all of the time, but just being aware to like make sure that you are nourishing your body when you most need it. Oh, and another thing, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I avoid caffeine altogether. So no coffee, green tea even, matcha lattes. No, I can't deal with caffeine when I'm stressed because it raises my cortisol levels. Coffee makes you feel a bit like jittery anyway, right? Like sometimes in a really positive way, it makes you feel awake and you can focus. But when I'm stressed or feeling a little bit anxious, that is the worst thing I can give myself because I'm just like, literally like my body is shaking from it. So yeah, no caffeine. I avoid alcohol when I'm stressed as well, and avoid junk foods, so like really sugary, processed and salty foods. Lastly, just for food and drink, this doesn't even really count as food and drink, it's more like a supplement, but I don't know if you've tried CBD oil, but if you suffer from anxiety or you're just not dealing well with stress right now, CBD can be absolutely amazing. I think it's really important to find the right one that's good quality, but it was a couple of friends actually recommended CBD to me. They suffer from anxiety, and they said that if they feel it kind of coming on, you know, you can feel like, oh, I'm a little bit anxious, take a couple of drops of this on your tongue and it just does relax you. I don't take this every day. I know some people absolutely love this on a daily basis to prevent stress, but for me it's just like when I'm feeling a bit like, oh yeah, not quite feeling right, this can absolutely sort me out. So yeah, that's great. This one is by Cat's Naturals Heal CBD hemp oil, and this I got from a pop-up store on the King's Road. It's not there anymore, but it was called The Drugstore. Sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? But it wasn't. It was more like medical. You go in and it was just like a normal shop, and they were so knowledgeable, and they had all kinds of things like arthritis, and this one they recommended for just like stress and anxieties. I think they do actually have a pop-up on, where is it? In Notting Hill. I haven't been to it, but I think they have another one. They kind of move around. So that's where I got this one from, but you can get it online and stuff like that as well. But I take recommendations from people rather than just like Googling and finding a random one on Amazon because you don't know what's going to turn up. If your friends take it, ask for their recommendations, or yeah, this one's really good. Moving on to the next thing that I think is really important, it is support. So I think just being able to call up a friend or family member can be the best thing for you sometimes. I think it's really important to talk. If there's actually something that's seriously bothering you, just opening up and talking about it can be amazing, because that advice from other people can be invaluable, things that you wouldn't necessarily have thought of. And I think when you're in that stressed state, you're not thinking that clearly and that straight. So just having someone else from the outside, like looking outside in with a fresh perspective, it can just make you see it in a totally different way. So like I said, like if I'm stressed, I'll call Joe or I'll call my family members or friends and just have a chat, and yeah, it can really help. The next two things that I'm going to talk about are more aimed at dealing with the stress directly, so literally facing it head on. So first is logical thinking. The next is going to be emotional thinking, but first let's talk about logistics. I try and first, if I'm feeling stressed, think logically about exactly what it is that I'm feeling stressed about. Is it one thing? Is it two things? Is it loads of little things all in one that are making me feel stressed? And once you identify that trigger for your stress, you can think about, right, well, what can I do to limit that? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can say to make it better? And make a list. I'm such a list person. Even if I'm not stressed, like I've always got a list on the go. But once you identify those triggers for your stress, make a list of things that you can do to limit that. Sometimes, obviously, it's not as simple as that. Sometimes it's not like one or two or multiple things that are making you feel stressed. Sometimes it's just like you do feel stressed and you don't know why. That's when you tend to think more emotionally rather than logically, because you can't think logically when there's nothing to logically think about because you don't know what it is that's making you stressed. But in terms of logically thinking with stress, I think you just have to try not to do too much at once. Sometimes, like I said at the very beginning of this video, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and whether that is financial or your career or even something going on with your family or friends, like we can just put so much pressure on ourselves to do things right. And all of that combined can just get too much sometimes. So I think just taking a step back, accepting that you can't do everything at once, and that's why lists can really help. So every day make a list of things that you need to do that day. It can be personal or it can be work related, and just work your way through that list, and that should make you feel a hell of a lot better rather than just having everything flying up in your head all at once every single day and you're like, oh my god, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that. Having it all down on paper and ticking it off can make you feel so much better. So on to the emotional side of thinking. Obviously sometimes there is no reason why you're feeling stressed, you just are. You're just feeling like a little bit of an emotional wreck, and we've all been there, especially when I'm premenstrual. Oh my god, like every little thing will stress me out. Sometimes it'll make me cry, sometimes it'll make me really angry and frustrated, and I just can't control my feelings for a good like couple of days. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm stressed, but that's when logical thinking doesn't work in your favour, because when I'm in that state where I know I'm just like an emotional wreck, trying to logically think about it just isn't going to work, because you've just got to accept that, you know, you've got to let these next couple of days ride, like you've just got to go with it, just go with the flow. Literally go with the flow, because that's exactly what it is. There's no reason sometimes why you're feeling like that, and I think you just need to let yourself have a bit of a cry. Sometimes like holding back tears is the worst feeling ever. Like sometimes I just don't know why I'm feeling upset, but you just need to let yourself have a bit of a cry, and that's absolutely fine. It's normal, and sometimes I think it's really good for you to just release it. Like crying is like a release, isn't it? It's like you're feeling all worked up and tense, and it's like a physical thing where your shoulders and neck are all tight and you just, oh, I hate it. And then just letting it all out, having a cry is almost like, oh, okay, I feel better. That was good. That was a good cry. So I think you just gotta accept sometimes that you're feeling stressed. And that's when we can go through all of the tools that I've spoken about throughout this video. The little things, the little rituals that can make you feel better, whether it's having a bath, going on a walk, giving yourself a massage, having a cup of tea. All of those little things can make a huge, huge difference, and they don't take much time, really, do they? So yeah, that's everything. I think I've covered a lot in this video. I have just told you all of my secrets about how to de-stress, so I really hope that will help you. I'm sure if you've clicked on this video, maybe you are feeling a bit stressed today or this week, or you're just going through a bit of a tough time. So I really hope all of the things that I've discussed in this video can help you. So I would love for you to share any little things that you do too to reduce your stress. So please start a conversation in the comments down below. Just talk about things that you do in your day-to-day life that you find really help you, because that could absolutely help other people too. And let me know if you already do some of these things that I've spoken about. I'm sure you do, because some of them are so basic, but they are just magical at the same time. So yeah, let's have a little chat in the comments. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.